Good morning. This is John Fala with Senior Enrollment Solutions. Once again, you are tuned into Roadmap for Success, September 9th, 2022. Next level sales, setting objectives, being accountable, and getting back to basics. That's what we're always talking about, coming back to the basics of sales. It's not Medicare sales. It's not printer sales. It's sales 101. We're always going to come back to the basics of sales, because that's what this whole premise is about, right? Is helping someone without letting them know or without having them feel that they're being sold. So once again, I'm John with SES. It is 10 o'clock. Without further ado, we're going to begin to stay on track. Keep in mind, if you have missed a video, last week we went through a deep dive of D-SNP, C-SNP. What is a dual eligible plan? What is a chronic eligible individual? How do you locate these consumers and how do you market to them? If you missed that video or webinar, all of our videos, once again, are on the SES YouTube channel. Certainly tune in within a few days after our videos and they'll be on there. So once again, getting back into basics, keep in mind, I'm always going to share this disclaimer with you. I think it's so important to continue to educate yourself. We're in week, 20, I believe, of this 22-week roadmap to success, leading up to annual enrollment period. Ironically, there's 22 days left until AEP begins. So we should be having all of our certifications handled. We should be following through on the business basics. Your AHIP obviously should be done. All of your marketing, getting that approved through CMS and getting that submitted to SES for approval should be completed. But if you follow the basics of sales, which that's all I've done throughout my career, is listen to sales CDs and pick up on cues of other individuals in the sales arena, I will continue to better my practice and I will continue to help expedite the sale of that consumer so it's a more efficient process so I can get to the next consumer faster and continue that sales process with them as well. Obviously, all we're in it for is the referrals. I don't care who I sell. I care about getting into the 6 degrees of separation with that consumer, which we'll touch base on further here in a moment as well. So last week, we discussed your D-SNP population. It continues to grow because of COLA, because of inflation. These consumers, and if you've seen the D-SNP maps that we produce for the state in which your resident state is in, you will see that these carriers are just flooding the marketplace, trying to get into the market share of helping that dual eligible consumer. There's more and more consumers that are hitting that Medicaid eligibility, creating more opportunity for you on an annual basis, year round, to be able to help that consumer that may have been sold or pitched the wrong plan. More carrier competition means better benefits, obviously, for your consumer, possibly for your loved ones, maybe even for yourself. Know how and where to market your D-SNP consumers. Where are they located? How are you obtaining their information or getting in front of that consumer? Your homework this last week. It is September 9th. You should be ordering any carrier-specific trifolds. If you're looking to hit a podiatrist office or a dental office or what have you, there are carrier-specific trifolds that we can get ordered for you that have your name and your number, and you can just leave them on the counter, obviously announced, right? We're not trying to hide anything, but build that relationship with the dentist office, build the relationship with the podiatrist office, build those relationships for those individuals who are going to be passing that trifold out for you. Leave your materials out, and more importantly, religiously check on them. Make sure you do not have an empty trifold holder at any given time, or maybe even put a sticky note 5 flyers back or trifolds in that says, please phone this number to reorder, or please email me to reorder, or whatever you want to say in there to ensure that you're never out at that doctor's office or that specialist's office. Print your flyers. Once again, consistently meet and visit these locations to hang your flyers back up. Order, create, and begin any monthly mailing campaign that you have not started yet this summer. This consistency, the consistency of a mailer drop. Obviously, we're looking for consistent reply and consistent numbers, which not always occurs, right? But that consistent effort on your part to get out into the community and to continue to market yourself has to continue to be there. Who's holding you accountable? And that answer can go incredibly deep. Is it your mortgage lender? Or are you single? Do you have children? Do you have children in college? Is it their tuition that holds you accountable? Is it your car payment that holds you accountable? Who is holding you accountable to make sure that you are getting up every single day and going to work and putting in your college effort to try to increase your revenue, to increase your retirement? Who's holding you accountable? That is a very deep question that I need for you to ask yourself over the next few weeks. Because if you don't have someone holding yourself accountable, you may be slipping as a sales rep, as a self-employed individual. If you had a storefront and your storefront was open from 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, you're either going to hold a manager accountable, your general manager, your store manager, call them whatever it is, or you're going to need to be there early. Showing up at 9:30 is not acceptable. You will be losing consumers. You may be losing your reps that want to come in and rep for your organization. Who is holding you accountable? Because if you did have a storefront that was open from 9 to 5, you'd want to get there at 8:30, quarter of 9, right? You need to either get the grill hot, you need to get the lights on, you need to get the printer warmed up, you need to do something, pick up trash outside, right? Make sure that your business is presentable. This is all holding true to being self-employed. And if you're on the road or you're at home, you need to make certain that you understand where your accountability lies. You need to set objectives. The numbers tell the tale. That's all I care about. Leave the emotion out of this industry. Leave the emotion out of any industry. It's just a numbers game. Work a consistent work week. Set a schedule and stick to it. That is the hardest thing about being self-employed, and even harder if you're not held accountable to a storefront office or to another location, right? When you are self-employed, saying no is one of the hardest things imaginable. But you have to schedule your appointments in the same area. If you're a field agent and you're out booking appointments throughout Eastern Michigan or throughout the state of Michigan or whatever state you may be located in, say no to those appointments that may be taking you out of the area and really recognize, is it worth it? Is it worth it for me to drive an hour to possibly go help this consumer with this plan, whatever plan you may be offering? Or can I push them off 4 or 5 days, help them with the exact same plan with the exact same effective date, but yet be in that area because I already have another predetermined scheduled appointment in that area? I will tell you, as an early rep, as a new agent, I would travel the state. It didn't matter. 70,000 miles were put on that vehicle in 1 year, just bebopping around collecting checks from everyone I could possibly see. As time rolls on, as you have more appointments, as you have more leads coming in and more referrals, it provides you a larger opportunity to say no. But you'll never get there. You'll never get to the point of being ultra busy unless you are able to start saying no along the way, because that busyness of driving that hour, not being on the phone, not being on the computer, has now become wasted time, right? Pre-qualify your clients, all of them. I tell you what, if I run another face-to-face with an agent where the individual has a retiree plan, or they have some kind of plan that you can't help them, right? Generally a union retiree, I'm going to freak out. You have to qualify these consumers. Ask questions, right? There used to be a commercial for AT&T back in the day to phone first. Phone first. Make sure that they're home. Don't waste your time on unqualified appointments. Make certain that they're home, there's an interest, more importantly, there's a need and the capability of helping that consumer. Otherwise, you've just wasted 3-4 hours of your day, possibly $100 in gas, wear and tear, dry cleaning time. You have to understand that you have to make certain that these appointments are pre-qualified prior to visiting with them or writing them. Be prepared with your scripts. You should all have phone scripts, whether or not you created them on your own, whether or not we provided them to you for the T65, the D-SNP, the C-SNP. Have your scripts, and more importantly, have your objection responses and your power phrases handy. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you should have 5 to 10 power phrases, questions that you can just fire off on a consumer immediately. If you're discussing or wanting to discuss an annuity, the power phrase obviously would be, do you happen to have any funds in a CD? Or when do those funds come to fruition? If you're discussing a D-SNP consumer, do you ever pay anything when you go to the doctors? Do you ever get a bill in the mail? Do you ever pay any more than $9.85 for a name brand medication? Do you happen to have a green card, an MI health card in your wallet too? So those power phrases are so important, all the way down to, is there a child or a spouse that can help work through this? Do you happen to have a power of attorney, right? There's all these questions that you should be able to drill away with the consumer to find out specifically what their needs are, to then have this portfolio now of products to be able to assist them with that Medicare Advantage, hospital indemnity, cancer, dental, vision, hearing, possibly, maybe an annuity, maybe a one-time life insurance policy, but you have to dig and dig and dig. And those power phrases, I cannot emphasize the importance of those power phrases. What is your monthly premium? What are you currently on as a plan goes? You can create as many power phrases as humanly possible, but they all should be able to be rolling off the tip of your tongue to dig and gather that information. Be efficient. I can't emphasize the importance of efficiency, right? If you're going to complete a paper application and that paper application is not completed fully, I have seen FMOs say they're no longer scrubbing apps. They'll allow for you to fax them to them, but they'll submit it right to the carrier. It's a problematic situation when you're submitting an application that's not completed, or you're not efficient about writing your enrollments online or telephonically. And that is certainly something that you should have buttoned up long before October 1st, is how to get into the Think Agent, the Miramar. What phone numbers telephonically can you write an application for? Which carriers? And that all leads to the compliance of the sale. But more importantly, your time is money, right? So set your goals. They have to be specific. They have to be measurable. They have to be achievable or attainable, realistic and time-based. They have to be written down as well. A goal is not a goal if it's not written down. It's just a dream. So what is your AEP objective? AEP begins in 22 days. What's your objective? Have you crunched the commission numbers? Is that what motivates you? Is the commission side, the monetary side of it? Or have you looked at how many applications you're looking to write? Or is it increasing your application portfolio, right? That you want to write more cancer policies or at-home health policies or hospital indemnity plans, or really bring another piece of business into your portfolio? Have you reviewed your marketing strategy, and is it proven? Don't go out and send out 1 million Val packs and think that you're going to sell 1,000 apps. It's not going to work. You have to make sure it's a proven way of marketing. If you need or wish to run rate of returns, we'd be happy to do so with you. A lot of these providers will let you know this is your current rate of return. If you send out a 1,000-piece mailer, your rate of return right now is about 1.4%. Can you increase that? Of course you can. We discussed previously how to increase that up to 3.5%. But you have to have it be proven. Do you have multiple lines of marketing in place? As we discussed, if you were self-employed and you opened a storefront and they close the road outside of your office or your storefront, how are you going to market to these individuals? And you have multiple streams that if one fails, if your bingo night at Section 8 gets closed down because of some global pandemic, what's your alternative step in marketing? How many prongs of marketing do you have going to be able to reach as many people in the marketplace as humanly possible? Are there other product lines that you're wanting to include in your business? As we discussed previously, the more applications or policies I have with a consumer, the longer that consumer sticks with me. Having additional product lines becomes paramount in being able to help any consumer with anything they need. I don't give a damn what you need. I have it. And I know about it. And I'm able to talk to you about it. I may not be able to run rates. I may not be able to enroll you. I may not even be appointed yet, right? A lot of these plans and carriers are just in time. But just talking to that consumer and more importantly, having my power phrases or questions handy will allow for me to dig and gather enough information to say, hey, let me go talk to some experts and I'll call you tomorrow. Is that okay? But you have to have all of this to be efficient and not waste your time in order to increase your revenue. How many dials are you making in a day? How are you making your dials? Is it on this archaic device? It is archaic any longer. You can still make dials on it. It's not the most efficient means of doing so. How many appointments are you booking in a day? How many applications are you taking a day or a week? Did you make your minimum number of dials a day? Who sets that minimum number? Well, it should be you on you holding yourself accountable. Track your activity every single day. How many appointments a week? How many appointments a month? How many enrollments, disenrollments a week or a month did you have? And how much marketing a week or a month are you sending out there to obtain the appointments to then obtain the enrollments, right? This is all a giant funnel. How many potential clients do you need to talk to? Let's start here. So let's state that you are holding a grassroots event, right? We set up an event for you at the Macomb Senior Center or whatever, and you have 500 people pass by. Out of those 500 people, let's say that you can get 50 consent to contacts, right? That they're giving you permission to call. And let's assume then out of that meeting, you close 10. That's pretty realistic numbers for a grassroots style event. So if you're looking to write 40 apps a month, you need to set up 4 grassroots events or partner up either with SES or a carrier to then have those 10 applications a week. If you were to send out a 1,000-piece mailer, you're going to receive roughly 25 leads, and you should be closing at least 6. As a non-seasoned agent, as an average agent, you should be about 25%. So if you want to write 24 apps off mailer pieces, you understand the numbers that you need to write or send out 4,000-piece mailers a month in order to hit your numbers. Now, you increase the contact ratio of the lead, which can be done. You increase your closing ratio, which with good telephonic sales skills, psychology of the close, that can be done. Then obviously your numbers change, and over time you can send out fewer mailer pieces or write more business. That's entirely up to you. If you were to market 10,000 potential clients via the internet, right? You buy a platform that sends out 10,000 emails, or you do some kind of geofencing campaign, or let's say you have 10,000 followers on Facebook. you should receive about 100 calls. And once again, your closing ratio should be about 25%. Now, if we're discussing, turning 65 consumers, that number's a little different. If we're discussing final expense leads, that number's a little different. I'm going off of the LIS MAPD DSNP consumer. That's what we discussed last week. That's what we're going to roll into as it is AEP, right? So not discussing the turning 65-year-olds. I'm discussing you working a Kroger, at Beaumont, a CVS, a Walmart store. If you don't know what I'm talking about, please reach out. An ice cream social, right? There's all these events, grassroots that are going on and locations that you can obtain through AEP to get in front of 500 individuals to write 50, right? Book 50 calls and close 10 consumers. Once again, is there a way of increasing that? Of course there is. Stagnant marketing, right? Make sure that you have trifolds and business cards always at that kiosk. I'd be checking it every day until either another agent comes in or the next time I'm in that location. But that stagnant marketing will increase that 500 individuals that you've met while then increasing your closing ratio, right? Are you income or application driven? And that's a huge question I need to ask yourself. All new agents are income driven, right? They all need the money. It's a huge, huge need, necessity as a new agent coming into the industry. You have money going out for marketing. You have money for business cards, maybe an office, maybe computer equipment or whatever it may be. But over time, that money focused driven sale ends up becoming more of a consultative approach where you're able to assist that consumer and really build that relationship. And I need for you to ask yourself over time, what is it that motivates you and what is it that drives you? Increase application count, your mix of business and longevity of renewals to increase your long-term income, right? And that's another thing that we're all about. What kind of retirement, revenue income are you looking to build? How long and how fast are you looking to do this? You tell me what you need, and I'll show you how to get there. Increase all your facets of your business. Your appointment stick rate. If you're at a 25, 30% stick rate of people actually showing up to your appointment, either at the library, a Burger King, or at their home, their apartment, what have you, we need to work on increasing that stick rate. If you are only closing 25% of your consumers, there's a problem. There's some sales resistance going on, and we need to increase that closing ratio. If your consumers are falling off your books, if you're having rapid disenrollments in 90 days time, we have to work on your retention. You're selling them the wrong product. You're selling them the wrong plan, or you're not asking enough questions, prying questions, to know exactly what that consumer needs to have them stay with you and to continue that retention rate. Next week, phone skills, appointment setting, stalls and objections. We're going to get into increasing the closing ratio, increasing your appointment stick rate. Hang tight till next week, because right now we need to just begin at the very top and holding yourself once again accountable, because otherwise you won't have the calls, you won't have the leads, you won't have anyone to talk to if you're not holding yourself accountable on that marketing side. Set up a daily, weekly point schedule. If you don't have one, we have weekly and monthly schedules for you. They're open, meaning that you can change your points. Come up with how many points you need to write on a weekly basis. Save it, print it off. If you want us to print it off, we'd be happy to provide you a whole year's worth. But hold yourself accountable. How many points does it require for you to write X amount of sales? How many business cards or take ones are you putting out? Did you have an appointment? Did you write a sale? How many facility visits? Did you talk to any gatekeepers while you were out? Did you run a seminar or have an event, maybe weekly or monthly, at a library or at a facility? Maybe you account your Walmart once a week as an event during AEP. That's totally fine. Did you do a 1,000-piece mailer drop? Local marketing. Did you run an ad in the newspaper? Any placemats or anything of that nature? You can create your own points, and I'll help you. And there's a million other things that we could put on here in holding yourself accountable. But you have to include your time for learning, your carrier certifications, your organization, your client follow-up, the creation or ordering of marketing pieces. If you have not begun thinking through a Christmas card, now's the time to do it. But that takes time to find the photographer, to get the outfits, the family, the dog, or whatever together, to go get it taken care of, to then begin thinking through that Christmas card. I would encourage you begin doing some of this prior to the annual enrollment period. Put that as a point, right? That I'm taking care of whatever, 50 points, and I'm doing this every week. It's an hour a week. It will attribute to your points, but it will more importantly attribute to your sales as well. I will tell you firsthand, it is always easier to, and it's always more fun to. It's a beautiful day here in Michigan today and yesterday. It would have been amazing to play hooky. However, you have to hold yourself accountable. Life will not stop because you have to work. The kids will not stop getting sick, needing rides to and from school, your neighbors asking you of favors, your in-laws asking you of favors, parties, holidays, birthdays, it doesn't matter. Life will continue on. You have to figure out how you're going to fit those small pieces of time to work in your schedule. Set a schedule, stick to it, and learn to say no. No, I'm sorry, I can't. I'm working. No to the laundry, no to the cleaning, the children, the meals. Get your life on a schedule. I cannot state it enough. You have to be able to understand that you'll get to it after. When you take a break for lunch, set your phone, set a kitchen timer, whatever you need, set it for an hour, set it for 2 hours. I don't care how long you set it for, you're holding yourself accountable. And then go bust ass. I'm going to get the laundry done. I'm going to get the dishes done. I'm going to get the floor swept. I'm going to get the yard mowed. I'm going to eat. I'm going to shower. I'm going to do whatever I need to do. But you can always get to it after. So when someone asks you, will you, I may be able to after, can you? I'm sorry, I can't. I'm working until, would you? I'll be able to get to that once I make 10 more dials. Let them know. And more importantly, let the individuals in your life know. Not only your immediate family, having a schedule and getting some kind of calendar built up on the wall that Wednesdays, mommy's work late night. Friday is mommy's not going to be home day because I'm out running errands and visiting with individuals at physicians' offices, dental offices, what have you. But you have to be able to hold yourself accountable. And I understand that life will always need you, right? Something's going to break. Something's going to need addressed immediately. But you have to be able to decide how immediate is this necessity and can I postpone it? Because once again, it is always easier to, most appointments are made when you're about to quit for the day. I don't know if any of you are aware of that, but almost all of my sales are like the last 10 calls of my day. So just hanging out for another 15 minutes, 20 minutes, procrastinating, coming down for dinner, or whatever the case may be, it's amazing what ends up happening at the end of your day, right as you're about to call it a day. When feeling physically and mentally done, I ask of you, dial 10 more people, 10 more clients, 10 more leads, follow up with 10 more people. I don't even care if it's someone that you've sold saying, hey, have you booked your dentist appointment? Have you ordered your OTC? Have you gotten your flex card? Do you know how to use it, right? Just dial 10 more people. Because in that event of calling that consumer, even if you've already sold them, do you know of anyone else that I can help? You have my business card, right? You have my number to refer someone over to me. Organize your CRM. Update your leads or your dispositions if needed. Update any computer files. Please do not have your entire desktop full of people's applications. This should be someplace filed a little bit more securely. Any of your documents that you've downloaded for the day, carrier applications that maybe you downloaded to mail out to a consumer, have that saved and stored so you're not having to deal with it the following morning. Ensure that all of your applications are fully submitted. If you happen to write 10, 12, 15 applications in a day, you're going to want to go back and spend the 15, 20 minutes and ensure that you have an email or a confirmation number and that you're putting this on your Excel spreadsheet or your Word document or your CRM. However you're saving this data, it's so important that you know where this data is and that you can quickly retrieve it in the event the consumer phones you and says, I haven't got my cards and I don't even think I'm approved yet, and it's December 8th, you're going to have problems, right? Clean your desk, clean your workstation, clean your vehicle. They state that someone who is a manual laborer, they have more happiness in their life because they can finish their job and go home. In your situation, you may not be able to go home. Your car, your vehicle, your mode of transportation to visit with consumers, you're going to be in it tomorrow. So instead of getting into a messy car, a dirty car, a trashed car, clean it at the end of your day when your appointments are done. Clean your desk, clean your workstation. So the following day, you are not thinking that it may be more fun to clean my desk and the dust and everything else that should have been done the day before, that you're able to sit down, plug in, and get to it, right? That's the most important thing in starting your day and having your day run efficiently. Make sure that you're not coming back to a messy desk, back to something that you didn't complete the day before because life got in your way. Ask to see weekly, monthly numbers. Not everyone is money motivated, right? Ask for a state or a carrier rankings. Hey, I really have written a ton of this carrier this year. Do you know where I stand? And we'd be happy to provide you, not necessarily agent names per se, but where you stand on either a state level or a national level. I swear I want to be number one in selling life insurance with this carrier this year. Great. I'll show you how to get there. We'll help you get there. And then we'll show you the numbers along the way. Are you hitting your agency or company incentives and bonuses? And that's a huge question. There's all kinds of incentives going on right now. There's per app incentives. You write 3 apps with ACE, it's $300 per app, or $275 with SBLI with Prosperity Life, or $250 with Royal Arcanum. There's trips going on right now to Panama, to the Caribbean. SES has a monthly lead co-op or referral program, right? All you need to do is write 10 apps. If you're not writing 10 apps, we need to figure out how to get you to 10 apps, because that is what's going to help drive you forward. Whether or not you're money motivated or app motivated, let us know. Let us know what motivates you. And as sales goes, we'll dangle the carrot to help that motivation continue to help you grow your business. We have to get back to the basics, okay? A lot of agents obtain enough information that they want to puke on that consumer. They want to provide them far too much information. Instead of going through what the income requirements are for every bracket of Social Security, just simply ask the question, as a married couple, are you guys making more than $172,000 a year? No, or yes, right? I don't need to go through it all with them. I need to keep it very simple with them. It's sales. Once again, leave the emotion out of it. Getting in the door, your marketing, your appointment setting, your event planning is so important. Sorting versus selling. Get the sorting out of the way first. You should be able to find out within a minute or two's time at most that someone has retiree coverage, UAW coverage, doesn't qualify for a plan, needs to be on a health plan instead of a Medicare plan, whatever the case may be, you should be able to sort your way through this in a timely, efficient fashion. Show them how to feel the enthusiasm. It may be a draining day. I will tell you that AEP is a long few weeks of a lot of work and not much sleep. It depends obviously on what motivates you, right? And how much business you're looking to write. But the moment that someone's on the phone, they need to feel your enthusiasm. You cannot be Eeyore just in the corner. Do you want to buy a policy? Stand up, get alive, right? It's that immediate switch of the brain that makes you go from half asleep, dialing and dialing and dialing away, to alert and ready to make that sale and excited to talk to you. Joyce, how you doing, right? Get up out of the chair. If you don't have a wireless headset, that may be something to consider so you're not ripping it out of the back of your computer. People buy on emotion, not on logic. We'll go through this next week further in depth, but do not take your sales approach and move it from an emotional sale. How does that make you feel? Aren't you going to feel amazing once this policy is in place? Don't you feel protected? Don't take that emotion and then turn it into logic, saying if you break down the premium, it's only $1.68 a day. Don't go there. That's a very difficult thing to not do as a sales rep. We all want to sell it initially on the emotion, but then explain the product further in depth. They've already bought it. They bought it on the emotion of that consumer. So keep in mind that we are not changing this ever from an emotional sale to a logical sale. Become a storyteller. 1 second. Sorry. Become a storyteller. Explain what has happened to other individuals that you know, stories that you've read online, or other clients that you may have. I got to tell you, Robert, I did have a consumer that purchased a Medicare supplemental plan. 2 years later, they didn't think that they needed it. They were healthy, and they bought a Medicare Advantage plan. And 9 months later, they got colon cancer, and they couldn't afford their medical bills for the radiation and the chemotherapy. And had they kept that med sup, or had they have had a cancer plan or a hospital indemnity plan with a cancer benefit, because they were guaranteed issued at the time, right? Then this situation wouldn't have occurred. And this is why I'm talking to you about this now. Be the storyteller. The key is, no matter what story you tell, make the client the hero. Even in death, they can be a hero. Could you imagine having all of your 5 grandchildren have their college education taken care of because of the decision that you're making today? Could you imagine being able to have the funds to fly your children out to be with you, knowing that they're in California in that event or that crisis? Make them the hero. Review, download, watch any sales techniques and skills you can possibly find. Now, tread lightly. YouTube, right? Freedom of speech. I get it. You're going to find a bunch of agents out there, or agencies that say, I'll never sell a Medicare Advantage plan because they suck. Well, obviously, you haven't met a Medicare Advantage plan consumer, right? Or a D-SNP or a C-SNP, or anyone for that matter under 65 needing a Medicare Advantage plan. So watch the freedom of speech. Hit not the Medicare sales people. I mean, you can go back in the SES Agent YouTube videos, right? We have hundreds of them on how to sell whatever. It's sales. Get back to sales basics. Zig Ziglar, well-known sales rep, right? A ton of real estate investments, etc. Little dry, but has some decent early on videos or audio cassette. Right, cassette, that's funny. Audio clips that you can purchase or download. Even your local library may still have CDs. If you have a CD player still, to be able to get those for free and even download them. Joe Girard, one of my favorites, right? He ended up getting into the Guinness Book of World Records because he sold the most amount of Chevrolets in a year. And some of his techniques are priceless to build that relationship and not have any sales resistance. That's what we're after. We're after obtaining techniques and skills to where you never have the, well, I'm going to need to think about it. Think about what, right? I've already provided all this to you, but you have to include them in the sale. That's the trick, is being the storyteller and the hero, and it just rolls right into that enrollment. Learn the psychology of the close. It is psychological. There's multiple different ways of getting into that psychology. If you need help on the SCS Agent Portal, we have that all listed, the psychology of the close, as well as closing techniques, etc. But the reality is you have to build a relationship with that consumer. Whether or not it's the fact that you're best friends for 5 minutes, or you're there for an hour and a half and you're writing up their neighbors, etc. You've got to get invited into their circle of trust. You'll never obtain their sibling. You'll never obtain their spouse. You'll certainly never obtain that $100,000 annuity if you're not trustworthy in their eyes. Build the relationship. Let them feel that you're trying to build a relationship with them and work on growing that relationship down the road. It's not a one and done, thank you, right, wham, bam, whatever. This is something where they need to know that I'm with you for life. Your closing techniques, how are they? Do you have any? If you just say, and understand, we'll go through this further next week, the red tape, right? Or the red words. You don't want to call anything a contract. That's a red flag word. It can be an application. You don't want to call it a signature, right? It can just be anything besides that. Just sign your name, or I just need your approval, or whatever it may be, right? So understand those red flags and understand how you're actually closing that consumer. Are you asking for a close? Because the best way to close a consumer is to have them ask you, how do I get started? What's my next step, right? And part of that comes from you asking, let's get started, okay? You probably feel so good this is all over, huh? As you're asking them to sign it, right? You're just shoving the paper across the table with a pen, and it's up to them to continue that emotion to then ink that application or that contract. I'm sure your mind is at ease now that this is all buttoned up. I'm sure your mind is at ease now that you know you can get your implants next month, or you're not being locked into another 2-year CD, or whatever the product is that you're helping them with. I'm sure your mind is at ease now, knowing once again that your children from California can come out and be with you in a time of crisis. Whatever it may be, work and figure out your closing techniques. Let's review. Sales is a numbers game. It's a giant funnel. You have to put the people in the top to have the appointments, to have the closes, to have the sales, to have the revenue, to have the stick rate. It's all a giant funnel. Increase your numbers and leave the emotion out of it. If you don't have enough people to contact, you need more leads. You need to be able to get into the community more. You need to be able to put up or have more referral basis with dentist offices or whoever it may be, an eye center, whatever, right? It is always easier and more fun to do something else than work. Always. And it may be the shittiest job that you can think of at home, but you're going to go paint it, fix it, whatever, right? The whole key to this is that you make enough money that you can pay someone else to do that work. That's the key. You may say that you love cleaning your house, but the reality is it's way more fun to pay someone to clean your house while you're working and earning more money, right? To free up that time to have it be more efficient. It's more fun to pay someone to paint the exterior of your house than for you to plan a whole 4-day weekend or whatever to do it, because you will be losing money, if you will, in the long run, because it's easier to do. Hold yourself accountable on a day-to-day is imperative to growing your business. You cannot let a day slide. You cannot let a week slide. You cannot let a month slide. Be on top of what did you do yesterday? What could you have done more efficiently yesterday or better yesterday? And it's so important to recognize that. Don't beat yourself up over your flaws. Don't beat yourself up over going to the movie with your children, or seeing someone that you haven't seen, or having dinner or a date, or right? Don't do that. But you need to really recognize work-wise, how much work did I put in yesterday, realistically, and hold yourself accountable. Your homework this week: create an AEP schedule. AEP starts in 22 days. What's your schedule looking like? Do you have a calendar? Are you able to stick to the plan? Are you able to stick to your calendar? Create or personalize an SES weekly, monthly point system. I cannot emphasize the importance to this. This will help you really recognize, what did I do this week? How many business cards did I put up on corkboards? How many offices did I pop into? How many appointments did I book? How many sales did I have? It will all come into play. And I assure you, you do this for a year on a weekly and monthly basis, and you go back 12 months from now, and you watch this video again, you're like, wow, I can't believe that John told me to start this point system, and it flipping works. And it does. It allows for you to see, okay, I didn't do that last week. I slacked. It was a rough week, or I was on vacation, or what have you, to allow for you to make it up the following week. Work through and better understand the psychology of the close by downloading, purchasing, or listening to some kind of sales CDs. Step 1, understanding stalls and objections. We're going to go through that further next week, recognizing that there's only 7, understanding what the 7 are and how to get around them, what the difference between an objection and a stall is. But the reality is, you have to begin understanding your psychology. How are individuals, your clients, perceiving you as? Do you come across as the professional? Do you come across as a newbie? Do you come across as someone not having any knowledge at all? How are they portraying you as an individual? And are they willing and able to let you into that circle of trust to be able to provide referrals to you, which is what everyone's after in the sales industry? If you need help finding a CD, locating one, any suggestions on the ones that I would start with, reach out. We're here for you 24/7. Text us anytime, email us anytime, phone us. Phone me directly if you so choose. Most of you on the call have my direct number. It's 248-707-1966. Get your certifications together and completed. Learn how to write these applications online and telephonically. If you have questions, if you need anything, we're here to assist you. Enjoy your Friday. Tune in next week for telephonic skills, right? I don't care if you're a field agent booking face-to-face appointments, you got to get through the door. So I'll look forward to talking to you next week on week 21. We're cracking down on our 22-week roadmap to success. Thanks for joining. If you have any questions, certainly reach out. Once again, I'm John.